Good morning. Give me a few minutes to share this. Thanks so much for joining. Share, invite others to come in to wine and dine, and let's learn from each other this morning on adding spark back to your marriage. If your marriage has issues, if you're having conflicts and do not know how to resolve conflicts, this morning I'll be sharing some tips from some of the nuggets that God has deposited in me to help you in your relationship. This is also useful for those of you looking to get married. Hi, Matthew. Compliments of the season to you too. Those looking to get married and can also begin to lay a foundation for their relationship starting now. Like I said, this morning I'm going to be sharing on adding spark back to your relationship. Why do you need to add spark to your relationship? Sometimes we forget about the reason for coming into a marriage, leaving your parents as a man and coming to become one with your wife, and also wives learning to respect their husbands and being able to build together in oneness without looking at anyone's relationship as the foundation of yours, because your relationship, your marriage is unique to you and nobody else can leave for that purpose, that marriage, in that situation outside of you and your spouse. Two people becoming one. And so this morning I'm going to be sharing on that. And I'm going to begin by saying this. Women are fearful of losing. And men are sometimes afraid of being seen as not good enough or not being man enough. And these fears allow relationships to begin to have issues that may never be resolved. Women are fearful of being the loser, and men are afraid of being seen as not good enough or not being man enough in a relationship. And it's very vital for us to understand that the needs of a man and the needs of a woman are different. Women are more needy than men are. Men are more insecure and women are more needy. Needy in the sense that sometimes they come across as being bossy. Not necessarily want to be bossy, but for them to express themselves so that you can understand what their needs are and how to meet their needs. But what happens as the foundation that is missing is the fact that we forget that a man leaves his father and mother and clings to his wife and they become one flesh. Why is that? The woman was brought out from the man. A woman was brought out of a man, and because of that, you both are one. You don't have to see yourself as separate individuals, but you have to recognize that you are one. She was brought out of you, and so you have to see her as you see yourself. But most of the time, this doesn't happen, again, because we sometimes think, this is how my parents lived, but your parents' relationship is unique to your parents and not necessarily a reflection of what yours should be. We miss out when we begin to look at my uncle and his wife live this way, my dad and my mom live this way. Their relationship is unique to them. If God wanted their relationship to be yours, He wouldn't have created you and your wife separately. He would have made you those parents that you have and those people that you're looking at. All you were meant to do was learn those lessons from those people as you're watching and take away some of those nuggets that you see that you can enhance when you get to your own situation. But not allow yourself to see your relationship as their relationship. As a coach, I come across men who say, my father was this way, but you don't have to be your father, because if God wanted you to be your father, He would have created you as your father. You have to be you, and your wife has to be herself. She was brought out of you, and the two of you have to come to the point where you see yourself as one. not as separate individuals. She was brought out of you as a reflection of you. And I'm going to read from Ephesians 5 this morning. Ephesians 5:28 says, in the same way, husbands ought to love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. You cannot love your wife except you truly love yourself. Because when you love yourself, you care for yourself, you care for your body, you nourish your body, you feed your soul. And so when you come in oneness with your wife, you have to be able to nourish her as you are nourishing yourself. You have to be able to take care of her body as you are taking care of your own body. You have to be able to feed her soul as you are feeding your own soul. Same applies to the wife, because you are one. She was brought out of you, and so she is a reflection of you. And when you cannot really build into her, it is because you do not know who you are yet. And so conflicts will begin to arise from the fear of being not man enough or good enough, or from the fear of being lonely or losing your partner as a woman. And so how do you begin to build and add spark back to your relationship as a couple? Wives are supposed to submit to the husband. And submission does not mean that you have to give yourself away, lose yourself in the process. Submission means you realize that he is the head and you are the helpmate, and your submission is aligning with the vision of your relationship. Your submission is to him, to allow him to birth into you as he is birthing to himself those things that need to help your relationship grow. Ecclesiastes 4 verse 9 says, two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help each other up. But if you realize that the two of you are not one, how can you have a good return on the labor of your marriage? How can you have a good foundation on your marriage if you don't recognize that the two of you are one? You have to build into one another. You have to support one another. You have to pray and birth life into one another to be able to see each other as one. Sometimes we women often say things that get the men upset. But here's the truth about when a man gets upset based on what you say. Anyone, and I want men to listen to this because I coach men as well, and men are the easiest people I deal with. Anyone can say anything to you, but you have the power to process what is being said to you as a man or as a woman, and accept what is being said to you and allow it to either bring you down or raise you up. Anyone can say anything to you, but you have the power to accept and process that thought and allow it to either break you down or help you grow. And what happens in a relationship is when you do not recognize your partner as one with you and things are said, you're not able to process those thoughts and see whether there's truth in it, whether there's something you can work together with it, and how you can both build into one another with what is being said as you process those thoughts. As a man thinks, so he is. And so when you do not process what is being said to you in a manner where you're understanding, then just, being selective at what you're hearing, it becomes hard. Because everything that's being uttered to us can either grow us or help us become aware of what needs to grow within us. And so a woman saying certain words to you may be bringing to your awareness some things that she wants you to wake up to, that she sees as a need in your relationship to help your relationship begin to grow to the next phase. But if you do not allow yourself to receive those things that are being said to you by your spouse, you may begin to have conflicts based on where you are with yourself. And as long as you don't love yourself enough, you can't give her that love that you need to help your relationship grow. As a man, you're supposed to love her as you love yourself. But if you don't love yourself enough, either because you had some issues that are still unresolved, what happens, and she also has some issues unresolved individually, what happens is you have a lot of conflicts in your marriage. How do you also add spark to your marriage when there are too many chores for a woman to deal with and you're not supporting her with the chores? She is one with you. And so you voluntarily support her with everything to do within the home. I've had men say to me, my wife sits at home all day with the children and I'm working. Motherhood is a job on its own. And what I've done with some of my clients who have said that is, I tell them, give your wife a day off. You take a day off from work. You sit in her position for one day. Allow yourself to see what she does so that you can better understand what you think may be her just sitting at home with the children, and you can see life from a different perspective. And so when you sit down and you watch your children and you have to handle cooking and cleaning and attending to their needs, you begin to get a different picture of how you can build with each other and build into one another without allowing her to become overwhelmed. She also has needs that need to be met by herself, but you have to come together and add that spark by supporting one another's vision and helping each other grow. You taking time to watch the children, she taking time to get some rest so that she doesn't become overwhelmed and not able to meet your needs in the marriage. One of those needs is sex. Men always want to have sex, and women, when overwhelmed, especially when you have children, come and tell you every day, I have a headache, I'm too tired. But when you support your partner with those little chores, she creates room for you two to have that intimacy and build into one another. Intimacy doesn't have to do with sex alone, but I'm addressing the sexual part first because that's the way to a man's heart. A way to a man's heart is not through food alone. A way to a man's heart is through sex. Give him all that he needs in the bedroom and your needs as a woman will be met. Give a man all he needs in the bedroom and your needs as a woman will be met. One of the things I share, some of the things I share that I'm going to share with you on this platform this morning is this. As a woman, do not think that you cannot get into your husband's space, especially if it's a sports fanatic. It's very easy as a woman to get into a man's space if you think, I can't be with him when he's watching sports. That's a myth. And you can break that myth and build on your relationship while he's watching sports. Get the favorite jersey of his team, the sports team. Get the favorite jersey. Put it on. Sit with him. Eat the popcorn. Watch the Hi Blessing, I see you. Eat the popcorn. Sit down together. Watch the game. Don't air your opinion about the other team, but sit down with him, watch the game, get to do some things he likes with him because you're one. You don't have to separate yourself. And what you don't realize as a woman is when a man is watching a game, you can actually set the pace for your bedroom manners, your bedroom activities right there and then. I've had women say to me, he doesn't touch me for 2 weeks. It's not about him touching you. You have to recognize that you're one as a couple, and so you reach out and touch him as well. You don't wait for a man to touch you in a marriage because you're one. You have to do what you need to do and couple with each other and be there to support each other. Wear his favorite team jersey, sit with him, begin to lay that foundation if you want to get in the mood. His team loses, you console him and you get him back together. Things you can do to raise up your sexual activity. Number one, do dishes together. Some of the most romantic moments begin where you least expect. You're doing dishes, you're playing with the soap, you're getting each other turned on. It doesn't have to be the routine that you were taught. It only has to be the bedroom. There are other places in your home where you can actually begin to stimulate each other and get each other into the romantic side of your relationship. Making love in marriage actually helps your relationship grow stronger. And so as a married woman, you have to make time to fulfill that need because it's part of the need for your marriage. It's the food to the soul of your marriage. That intimacy, that moment with you together with your spouse can begin anywhere. Cook together. Make a mess in the kitchen. Turn your mess making and food making into love making. You don't have to wait for the bedroom. Before you got married, there was a way you attracted each other. Getting married doesn't mean you neglect all that. In my book, Love, Sex, Lies, and Reality, I wrote about how women get married and begin to wear the granny jammies. The granny jammies will turn your husband off and make him go out and chase the little girls outside. Because again, you initially began to turn him off, and maybe you're getting to 6-7 years of marriage and you begin to feel fluffy and you don't want to be that person anymore. Marriage shouldn't change you. It should keep you as who you are, true to yourself right from the onset, and not deprive your partner of that goodness that you both share together during love making. Number two thing is, women say, he's not interested in what I'm doing. How are you getting him interested in some of the things that you are doing? You don't nag at him to get him interested. You woo him to get him interested in some of the things that you're doing. We women are fond of nagging. Nag, 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 and complain. But complaint only brings about negativity into your relationship. Complaints do not build your relationship on a stronger note, but tears you apart. Men are ego-driven. Again, it's based on some of the insecurities and the fear that they have, but the only way you can help a man build with you is to stop nagging. Look for ways to communicate with him. The best way to communicate with a man, I share with my clients, I'm sharing on this platform, I share when I speak, is during love making. Give him everything in the bedroom, and right after that, open your needs to him. He will listen to you because you have fed his soul. You have fed him. You don't have to wait and nag the following morning again and say, that thing I said yesterday. No, he heard you. Allow him to process those thoughts, because men think differently from we women think. Men process thoughts longer than we women do. We women can come up in 5 minutes and have an answer. A man has to logically think about things before he utters an answer to you. Allow him to process those things in his own mind, at his own pace, at his own time, because it takes longer for men to process stuff than we women process things. Don't rush a man. Never ever rush a man. Even when you're dating, never rush a man, because a man who is not ready will never be ready, and you cannot make him ready until he is ready for that. So I shared about the sexual part. I shared about not viewing your relationship from your parents' relationship, because their relationship is unique to them, not to you guys. Your parents' relationship was for them. You were only supposed to learn some lessons from them, not replicate their own relationship in your own marriage. And so when you begin to replicate, you are living outside of who God created you to be, and that oneness God created you and your spouse to have, because you're not the same people as your parents or your uncles or your friends that you're looking at. Your relationship is unique to you. There are no two marriages that are the same. Every marriage is different, but you have to build together to bring the spark back to your relationship. Let's talk about date nights. How often do you take time to have date nights with your spouse? Date nights doesn't have to be that you're going somewhere. You can have a date in your house. Make the meal together, sit together, and commune together. Date night could be in your bedroom. It could be all bedroom affair, date night weekend. We're only going to be here to be intimate and to build. And the more you birth into each other, the more you communicate better. The best communication process happens right after sex. After making love. Sex is for those who are not married. Making love is for those who are married. The best form of communication in a marriage happens right after you've made love to each other. Because then you have all your energy being restored, and you can actually communicate with your spouse without nagging in that moment. And you don't have to do making love once a night. People say, oh, he's overwhelming me. He's asking for too much. Why are you married to him if you cannot make love to your spouse? Why are you married to her if you cannot make love to each other? Who else are you going to give that part of you to? It's about you building on that platform. We're about to start 2017, and most marriages are beginning to break down because of this. Some of these things are lacking. Date nights. Go on date nights with one another and begin to speak about things that you make it once a week or twice a week date night, so that you don't compound so many issues underneath the rug, but you're having that time to communicate. Why I said twice a week is date night once on a romantic level and one time for communication purposes. You have one date night for communication. You have the other for bringing spark back to your relationship and reuniting. Send those children to their grandmothers or to your neighbors. Or hire a nanny so that you can build on your relationship together. The more you begin to see each other as individuals than as one, again, a woman was brought out of you as a man, so she's a reflection of you. And as long as you love yourself, you will be able to love her. And the more you have that communication date night, the more you're able to praise your partner and pray for your partner, because when you have that communication date night, what you hear, you can take back into prayer and begin to speak life to. So that, because when you're praying for your partner, you're not only praying for your partner, but you're praying for yourself. And you're praying the blessing upon your marriage so that you're building stronger. Ecclesiastes 4 says, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return on their labor. You're able to build so that the return of investment on your relationship is not going anywhere, but is being deposited in the lives of you two as one body. You're not two different people. You're a reflection of who your partner is. And so your marriage begins to grow that foundation. And what happens is when you don't see yourself as one, you're not able to resolve issues because of the fear that you both have. Fear of losing my partner, fear of me not being viewed as man enough. And when you come together as one, you should be able to communicate any issues that you may have, any baggages you may carry, any emotional problems that you may have when you have communication date night. And when you have romantic date night, is a form of rekindling your marriage. You go on a date, you set the pace for romance, turn your bedroom into anything, turn your living room into anything, go on a hotel weekend together, have picnic in your yard, if you have a yard, or your deck, and from there drink the wine together, feed each other, and then go into the room and consummate your marriage again. Add refreshness to it. Come home as a man one day from work and cook for her and give her a day off. Have me time separately, because your me time separately would allow you to be yourself and to loosen up, so that when you both come back home, there is still that relationship building part of your, ask each other, how was your day? Sometimes we don't even communicate because we've had a bad day. All you want to do is eat and go home to sleep. I just want to come home, eat, and sleep. And the woman may also be exhausted. But when you're coming home and you see her trying to work, don't ask her the question, why is it late that I'm having dinner? Join her, no matter how overwhelmed you are. Support her vision in the kitchen and help build together. Before you got married as a man, you were able to meet your own needs. You were able to feed yourself. So she's not coming in to just be in the kitchen. She's coming in as somebody who's going to be supportive of what you have been doing by yourself. So it doesn't mean you have to give up cooking. It means you're going to be supportive of her when she's exhausted, step into the gap. But because we allow the culture, the tradition, and what we've observed, oh, my father never cooked. That was your dad. Your dad isn't you. Support her in the kitchen, helping her cook, because after cooking and she's not exhausted, she can meet your bedroom needs. But if you allow her to become overwhelmed with cooking and cleaning and you're not supportive, how do you expect her to meet your bedroom needs and make love to you? It's not going to happen. It's going to break you up. Another thing you have to do to bring spark back into your relationship is to be honest and truthful with one another. No lies. No keeping secrets. Because when you begin to keep secrets, you're saying we're no longer one, I'm my own individual. We're no longer one, I'm my own individual. But to allow your oneness exist, you have to be able to tell your spouse virtually everything that's going on. That's how your partner can pray for you when things are wrong. Love doesn't keep a record of wrongs. So if you're keeping a record of wrongs, it means that you don't love yourself enough or you don't love your partner enough. I've had people approach me and say, we want to get divorced, but I'm not a divorce coach. I'm a life and relationship coach. I speak life into you and I help your relationships become better, not bitter. So when you come, it's about building and understanding your spouse is a reflection of you. And the only way you can bring spark back is when you see yourself and love yourself enough and realize that the love that you have for yourself is the love that you can give to your partner and help each other grow. A woman can say something to you, but you don't have to respond back in anger. You can process it, but also the woman has to learn the tone of communication, which makes a huge difference in your marriage. If I keep telling you, I told you so, it's going to be annoying to a man. You don't tell a man, I told you so. It's about expressing yourself in a tone that your husband understands. Men and women are wired differently. And you cannot keep communicating in the I told you so, or you're a loser tone. Because when you do that, you're not seeing your partner as yourself. You're seeing your partner as a competitor. But marriage isn't about competition, it is about collaboration. And if you cannot collaborate with your partner, who else can you collaborate with? If you cannot build into your spouse, who else are you willing to build it into? The number 3 thing I wanted to focus on is third parties. Never ever allow third parties to have a say in your marriage. God did not bring you and your spouse to be one. The only third party that needs to be in your relationship is God Himself. When you both go on your knees and say, we need God to build the cord and strengthen the cord of our marriage, the third party you're going to, who may also have issues in their own relationship, but they're not bringing it to your awareness, may actually advise you from a place of pain. Because they're in pain and they want to inflict that pain on you and also disrupt your own marriage, they come in and speak death to your marriage. And you take it home and begin to have conflicts. The only third party needed in your relationship is God. The only third party in your relationship is God. Ecclesiastes 12 says, a cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. When you build your relationship with God and allow Him to be the cord that actually tightens your relationship cannot be easily broken. But when you don't have him at the center of your marriage and you're listening to people who did not join you together, who are not one with you, but are external parties to you. Remember, you and your spouse are one. They're external parties to you. What happens is this. They tear you apart. You cannot judge your marriage based on somebody else's marriage. The more you pray and build stronger, the better you both become. I hope I'm able to connect with someone this morning. If there are questions, I will more than be willing to take questions at this point and help you further in your journey and in your marriage as you start 2017 on a fresh note, on building stronger, on supporting one another to make your relationships become better, not bitter. If there are questions, I will take questions. If there are no questions, I will sign off, and tomorrow I will be addressing singles and couples together on how to build better going into 2017 on relationship grounds. Relationships are vital. They're everything. Without life, there will be no relationship, and without relationship, there will be no life. That's one of my quotes. So I encourage you as couples, set out date nights. Go on a communication date night separately from your romantic date night. Build into one another because you were brought out of each other. The woman was brought out of you as a man. So as much as you love yourself as a man, you will be able to love your wife. And as much as the woman loves herself, she will be able to respect you when you show her that love and give her that love. Do not allow your insecurities and your neediness to affect your relationship. Learn to be complete as an individual and only come together to complement your partner. Never judge your relationship by the relationship of other people. Your relationship is unique to you, and your relationship only needs God as the center of the cord that ties you together. When you understand you are created as one. Pray for your partner, praise your partner, support each other's vision, support each other's goals, and help create that peaceful marriage that can easily continue to grow, and allow your children to see that growth and birth into them those lessons that they also need to take on and begin to build on their own foundation of marriage. Marriage is indeed beautiful. He who finds a wife finds a good thing, and he who finds a man knows that she's found a keeper and her partner designed from God from above. You have found your rib, and you have found your missing rib when you realize you're both one, not two individuals. I pray you all have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.